Hello, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our respected viewers, and welcome on Youth Matters. This is your host, Sakina Habib. I'm sure that all of you are really excited and looking forward to today's episode. It's called The Power of Love, and really to understand how to spread this beautiful positivity and the power then is very important to understand. Now, from forming deeper relationships to having a meaningful career, from encouraging the growth of our inner creative to establish our best life yet, from understanding self care in today's dynamic work life, and to be able to create the harmony and balance, we will be having a diverse conversation together on Youth Matters podcast with me. Before moving on to today's program, I would like to remind you to please subscribe to Hidayat TV and also to like and share Youth Matters program with as many people as possible. I try my level best to bring in some really impactful conversations with our esteemed guests on today's program. Without much further ado, I would like to welcome our special guests for today. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Alia and Mubaraka? How are you both doing today?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure. I would like to introduce very quickly both of my guests for today. So, Alia Jamal, known as the Love Coach, is here to help the world heal one human at a time. By connecting clients with their souls, Alia supports them as they learn to embody the ubiquitous energy and consciousness of love. This expansive journey leads them to inner peace, personal fulfillment, and harmonious relationships. Also, what really surprised me about Alia is that she's a pranic energy healer. And at first, I really didn't understand the concept until she told me that she is blessed to witness others in their purest form, gently guiding them as they learn to expand their energy body and filter their own perceptions, thoughts, and actions through the light of love. For women, Alia helps them find their one true love within and become the love of their own lives, regardless of their relationship status. Her ultimate joy comes from seeing what she calls the spark of love in her clients' eyes when they finally make that soul connection. Also, she hosts Unleashed Muslim, a powerful weekly podcast dedicated to sharing her self development journey. As far as for Mubaraka, Mubaraka is a creative life coach and she helps women work through the stress, burnout, and overwhelm of day to day life to create a lifestyle that you love. From forming deeper relationships to having a meaningful career, she encourages the growth of your inner creative to establish your best life yet. Without much further ado, let's delve into our today's conversation and understand what is really the true meaning of the power of love and how can we explore that love within ourselves. I would first like to start with Alia. Alia, could you tell us a little about yourself and what brought you to explore and study about love and heart?
Thank you so much. So, my journey started in 2015 when I was in deep depression. I was suicidal. And that is when I realized I have never been that happy within me, even though outside has been a smile. I got help. I went for therapy and I was exposed to the world of self development. So I started studying coaching. After studying for coaching certificate, I started studying energy healing. And that started making sense to me. I come from a science background. I'm a cytogenetic technologist. So understanding the electromagnetic field that is around a human body and how it's connected to the physical body was life changing for me. It was like mind blowing information. And that led me to study the heart. Because a lot of coaches, they study the mindset, they study how the brain works, how it's connected, and there's three types of brains in our body. But when I started
Yeah.
studying heart, it opened a very different dimension for me. That is where it's seat of the soul. So soul comes down into our body and hangs on to the heart. That just
Okay.
that helped me connect with the energy of love, and I was able to not just heal myself but also release my marriage that was not good for any of us, with so much love. And right now, this is what I do full time, and I am co-parenting with such a loving and kind relationship, which is like a dream come true in itself. A very rare thing to find that I've been able to create. So that's, I got to this with my own life journey.
That's really inspiring. Honestly, it's really difficult. As you said, it's something rare to basically even accept ourselves in the society when it comes to a situation as such that you've mentioned about. And, I think one would find it really, you can say, very overwhelming as well, about the fact that how you've really transitioned and shifted yourself into becoming this sort of a woman who feels empowered in this unique journey of yours. I would like to move on to Mubaraka. So, Mubaraka, when we talk about self care, right, there are a lot of different misconceptions or uh, thoughts, about what really self-care would mean in today's modern world. For example, someone would might say that it means to be a little more selfish or a little more obsessed in giving yourself more time, prioritizing your needs over others. Is that really true? Or what does self-care really mean in today's modern day for an individual from your perspective, Mubaraka?
So thanks for the great question, and Ali, I love to hear your. So that was really definitely inspiring to listen to. So thanks for that. Um, so self care, in my personal opinion or belief system, is something that's essential for every single human being. Because if we are busy taking care of everyone else around us, not taking care of our own needs above our just basic needs, then we will tend to stay in a state of survival, and we will easily get burnt out, whether it be from taking care of our children to taking care of our parents, family. In order to give more and from a place of infinite giving, we can't access that until we actually go within and take care of our well-being. And that could be mental, physical, spiritual, financial. There's all these different layers. So it's really important to acknowledge that first and foremost. It's considered selfish, then it's the right thing, because it's selfless overall, because you're not doing it just for you. You're doing it so that you can be a giver. And the way it looks is
Yes,
going to be
right.
different for different people. So some people, it might be, certain practices like breathing, prayer, writing. For some people, it might be just overall movement, spending time in nature, spending time with friends. So it's going to be very individual. What fills your cup, what makes you feel good inside and makes you feel that sense of well-being. So that's what I believe is self-care. And if you do these practices on a regular basis, over giving and depleting yourself.
Absolutely. I think I really agree to the fact where you said that it's so important to fill your cup first. So it's really important to recharge yourself so that you can give that positivity back to people who are around you, people who are really close to your heart, and who you really care about for. I think it's really important. Sister Alia, talking about your journey as a divorcee, and also in the way that you've transformed yourself over the years, could you tell us how has it impacted your personal and family life?
So the divorce itself, or um, what I have become
Yes,
after that.
both. So first, how did you manage, like how did you overcome the phase of divorce, yeah, obviously becoming a divorcee, and then later on, accepting yourself, how did you embrace all of that?
So I will say it took me 5 years of inner work to get to a place where I went for divorce. So by the time I got there, there was a lot of inner healing already done. There was a lot of mutual understanding that, hey, this is not working out. Because I married my best friend. We were together since we both were 17. So there is a very good friendship, which is still alive. For me, the first step was to get help. So I started working with one of the best coaches in the world as soon as I came out of divorce. And the second aspect was I do have a daily meditation practice. For me, that is the self-care I need. And I think being connected to me helped me navigate what was going outside of me. Um, the culture that I come from, it's not very common to go for divorce after you have kids, and everybody has something to say. But every time I came back here, what do I have to say? Why am I going for it? How am I going to deal with the guilt that's coming at me? I think meditation
True.
has been my tool till this day. And my son is 9 years old. He already knows how to meditate. And that is how I'm
Wow.
helping him navigate the school bullying system.
That's really good to hear. Could you tell us, when you're saying meditation, like what exactly do you mean by meditation? What are some steps? I mean, for someone like me, I wouldn't really come to understand exactly. Can you just share maybe a little bit?
So
What
meditation
meditation
is
are you talking?
sure. So meditation is a very big field in itself. It's just like, if you want to have a healthy heart, there's a lot that you can study. The same way is meditation, because it's all about the health of your brain itself and your connection with the soul. So meditation is a connection when you quiet down and you become aware of who I am outside of this body. Prayer is a conversation with God. Meditation is me just being aware I am one of the most powerful creation ever created. Now, there's so many ways you can meditate for your own spiritual advancement. I am personally Arhatic Yogi. After you become a pranic healer, there is a whole path, that spiritual path that you can go on. It's basically yoga of brain. That
Okay,
is the
wow,
easiest
that's
way to explain. So the meditations that
explain.
I do, they are pretty advanced. They are very advanced, and they are designed to open up my energy, like open up. There are, if we are going into a little bit details, there's a whole anatomy to our energy body. People are familiar with meridians on our body, the same way there are points for energy body as well. So it is trying to open the whatever is around my head, and there's like about five higher chakras. That is what we work on opening. And if, let's say, a person is consistent, they can open that, they can get access
Yeah.
to more of their soul gifts. They'll be more present, they will be more present in the moment, they will feel more joyful, their brain chemistry would be very healthy.
Okay, that's really interesting. I mean, I really didn't ever come to know about this thing. I never really had a knowledge about this, but it's really something cool to know about. So thank you so much for sharing that, Sister Mubaraka. I think this is the highlight question for today's women, all sorts of women. So, like, how can a woman with vision and ambition empower all other women in creating a harmony in between her home life and work life. Especially, I think this goes with each and every woman out there looking into the circumstances of our daily life tasks that we have, and especially, juggling and managing everything on a daily basis. So what would you say, how can a woman really empower all other women in this area?
Okay. That's a loaded question, but alhamdulillah, let's break it down. So, if you have vision and ambition and you wish to empower others, you have to first empower yourself. And that's, with education, that's the first thing. And then embodying those principles. So it's like, action, knowledge without action is not going to really get you anywhere. You have to practice what you know. So it's like, therefore, if you want to then preach those principles, it has to be something that you already can understand on an internal level. And then figuring out how you will deliver that message. Finding the perfect balance is almost never possible. Getting real with yourself is the first aspect of that, and recognizing, yes, you can have it all, but probably not all at the same time. I was so when we can tap into our creativity, we're so creative. We want to do everything, and especially if you're an ambitious woman like me, you want to do everything amazing. You want to, raise your kids in the best way. You want to have the perfect home. You want to do this. You want to do that. You want to encourage and inspire others. But you have to understand, always, like Alia said, bringing it back home to you and asking yourself and your intuition and your gut what needs to be done first. Do I need to take care of myself first before I take care of this person? Do I need to take care of my kids before, focusing on the next project, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So it's just realizing where we're at. And when you're ambitious, you have a million ideas, a million thoughts. But the best way to navigate all of that is in two things: writing things down and going home to yourself, coming back to your center, grounding yourself, breathing, taking a break, allowing yourself to just self-reflect without any external anything. Just going within.
Right. So, Sister Alia, I'm sure you work with a lot of clients in helping them to connect with love within. Do you see any positive changes in your clients, and what type of changes do you see in your clients as such?
This is a perfect question right after what Mubaraka said. So she said something, you can have everything, you can have it all, but not maybe all at the same time. So I study metaphysics, I study how the universe works. There is a level where you can have it all at the same time, but that is your soul consciousness. And a lot of people stop at just, let me just manage my emotions. They never get to the soul consciousness. So they're like, okay, I can't. It's like when you try to stretch a human, they're like, I can't. It's too painful. I want to make it easy. I want to make it comfortable. I take my clients beyond that. I take them beyond the ego. I take them to soul consciousness. This work requires a lot of dedication and a lot of desire to get to that level. So this is the difference that I see. So a person who, let's say, is having trouble in their relationship, whether it's with their partner or with extended family, and they're so stressed out, they're so fearful, by the time they get to the soul connection part, everybody stays the same. The work stays chaotic, family members stay however they are, but the person stays in such a deep peace that nothing can touch them anymore. Fear is not controlling them, stress is not controlling them. It literally feels like unreal, and it feels like you're just living a delusional high on a drug kind of life. But that is the joy that comes being connected with our soul. So I teach them to think in a very specific way, and it is not easy to switch our mind. I teach them to believe things that they have never believed before. I teach them how the universe is actually set up, which we are never taught. We are never taught what is my role in this universe. So then
Mm,
that they are able to get to a place, life stays the same, but they shift and they become such a joyful version of themselves. So from that place, they can have it all. But getting there does require a lot of work and dedication, and not everybody is meant to do that work.
absolutely. Okay, that's really again something truly fascinating. Getting to know that your clients actually, feel that energy and they're able to connect, and it's really something transformative. When we talk about the acceptance of women, like for example, sometimes how we uh, categorize certain women in certain groups. I wouldn't say like we compare or something as such, but then I think somewhere in between we do create some standards, right? So, um, Sister Mubaraka, is it difficult to accept that we as women should give ourselves the freedom of self love?
I think every woman deserves to feel a sense of self love. Every human deserves to experience that for themselves. But like Alia said, it's a journey. It's something that you have to really consistently work on every single day. It's like it's a discipline, you know. And yes, there is it is different degree because we are so stuck in our egos. We're so stuck in what we are conditioned to believe in our little bubbles of brains and our lives that we live. But it's actually taking it to that next level of deciding to access the spiritual realm, access our own inner peace through our hearts, and it's giving ourselves the permission. That's the part that I think people tend to struggle with, women especially the most, because even themselves in self-care is something we're not conditioned to do. We are taught to just give, and everybody else comes before us to a fault of, when we come from a people pleasing background, it's going to be a huge
Mm,
challenge
abs-
to accept. And it's not perfect on the first try or the second or the third, but it's a consistent choice that you have to show up to every single day. So every time you fall back, you have to remember again, no, this is the person I'm trying to be. I want to be showing up for me. And if I can do that today and tomorrow and the day after, then it will become a part of who you are. And
Absolutely.
it's like getting to that, getting through the stages of consistently choosing yourself until it becomes like second nature.
Hmm. It's so true that usually it's just expected from us to, give, give, give. And sometimes it becomes very disappointing, right? When we don't receive that same love or respect back. And I think it's very common, in our communities, in our circles, in our cultures, I would rather say. So I think that's somewhere where a woman somehow feels like, she's not being seen, she's not being heard, she's not being recognized as much as she expects to, and that's, I think that's somewhere where we women then sort of lack in our self-esteem as well, and we feel like we're inferior. But you see, this is how now we want to twist the conversation into. So Ali, I'll just like to ask you, like, in situations as such, like, how would you want to empower yourself further and, make yourself feel like, you're someone who needs to be seen, who needs to be heard, and you've got the same importance just like everybody else?
So whatever Mubaraka said is so point on point. It's conditioning. We have been conditioned, but this is where I start with my clients. I take them before you were even in this body. So at some point, I was a soul. And soul does not have a gender. And that soul came in this body. It came in a woman body. It came in a time when women are not, like, seen equal to men all over the world. It's still happening. What is my duty being in this body? My duty is to connect with that soul, who I am as a soul. Only I can do that. My husband can't do it for me. My kids can't do it. My parents cannot do it. No one else can do it. So it's, to me, it's a responsibility. I have a responsibility to my soul that before it leaves my body again, I get to know who my soul is and why did it come here. And it did not come here to get married and have kids and raise those kids. That is part of a human life cycle, just like any other animal. But every
Okay.
soul came here to add something to humanity, and that is my responsibility. I lead myself with this question every single morning. When I wake up, I go back to, it's my responsibility what I'm going to do today, that I get to learn
Yeah.
more about my soul, that light that is within
Mm.
me, and what can I do to share that light with the world. In all the content that I
Yeah.
create, everything that I put out, that is the question I'm leading with. So I will say, anyone who's watching it, lead with that question. You'll never run out of ideas how you can give more to yourself.
Wonderful. Okay, Sister Mubaraka, can you perhaps give some examples how we can learn to embrace a few steps into giving and receiving the power of positivity and love?
Yeah, so it starts with asking yourself, where are you giving and where are you receiving? And then
Mm.
where are you not receiving? Because, and then also, would you like to be giving? And getting clear on what's truly serving you. Perhaps you
Okay.
may need to reduce contact with that bring you down, as what you are receiving is clearly not elevating you, encouraging you, empowering you. If you want to feel those kind of feelings when you leave uh, hanging out with people, then you're going to need to be around people that bring those things to you. So the
True.
steps: assessing your life from a holistic point of view. How do you feel when
Mm.
you're around certain people, and how do you feel when you leave those people? As I mentioned before, we
Yeah.
can't give from an empty cup. We have to fill up our cup, and it's not selfish, it's imperative, and it's the difference between surviving and thriving. When our cup is empty, we get into survival mode. Every,
Yeah.
and I talked about this today on my Instagram stories. But when we find and space to pour love into ourselves, that's when we can show up as our best for others, for ourselves and for others, and in our relationship. And I think that's where to start. It's just those simple questions, getting honest with yourself. How do I feel in all these situations? And then can I create a balance and harmony within myself and in my relationship?
Absolutely. So, this is just a really candid question, a very casual one that I would like to ask both of you. And it probably might spark a little controversy, but what is your view on, people in general or women who try to undermine or underestimate you by, for example, labeling you, based on your relationships, right, in life? Perhaps, the image that they had about you changes later on due to your relationship status. So what is your view on that? Do you think it should be something that should be encouraged or discouraged, or should there be a positive change to it in our community? So anybody who would like to,
I'll go
yeah, go
first.
for
So
it.
you're talking about, like,
Yeah.
a woman being married and then she's being divorced and she's losing all her friends, right? Which is very
Yeah,
common,
exactly.
which we go through.
Yes.
So, just, I call myself the student of universe. Everything is serving us. When we go through a relationship status change, well, whether I'm single and now I'm married, or I am married and now I am single, and this goes for both men and women. It's kind
Yeah.
of a death. And whenever a death happens, we are used to labeling it bad. But death is actually a good thing, because after death comes rebirth. So when we go through rebirth, we have to be alone. We have to be alone. When a seed is put in the ground, it's dark,
Yes.
it's gloomy, but eventually a tree comes out of it. So I
Yeah.
personally believe that we have to redefine that when you lose all your friends, that's actually a good thing. Don't expect people to come and, like, give you an extra shoulder, because again, it goes back to me. The responsibility is on me. And I need to
Absolutely.
learn it's okay to be with myself. It's okay to be alone. And I think if we can redefine the change that we are going through, that right there is empowerment, because we cannot change other people, but we can change ourselves. And once I understood, oh my God, I'm actually going through a transformation. I'm a little caterpillar. On the other side, I'm going to come out as a butterfly. Um, because as soon
Yeah.
as I filed for my case, I did start working with two coaches who were specifically for this kind of transition. And they helped me understand,
Yeah.
Alia, you're going to be alone. And it's okay. It's actually a good thing. So I think just understanding
Yeah.
change is good. Change is never bad. Yeah, there would be a lot of pain involved. We are human, and that's okay too. But it's life is always moving for more. It's always serving us.
I think it's to do more about educating people within our community when it comes to such topics, because these topics are, they're really just shoved under the carpet and we don't talk about it, which is really important, because this is something normal as well. Like, it's not like people will not get divorced in their lives, right? If people do, if we talk about this from quite a good age or a time, if we're educated on this, then perhaps people would not see it in a negative way or label people in a negative way, the way it's usually commonly misunderstood or done. And as you said, Alia, like, sometimes it's really important to have that rebirth within ourselves. Like, even generally, the way we say, like, if you're making mistakes in life or if you fall, when you rise again, right, from learning from your mistakes, you rise stronger. So I really liked how you gave that example of the seed and everything. What about you, Mubaraka? Like, what is your view on this?
I completely agree with Alia. I think it's absolutely, when you go through transition in your life, it's imperative to go through things alone, because you need to hear your own voice. From being a place where you have always heard other people's opinions, you don't really know your own true voice until you spend that time alone. And also the people who are kind of bringing you down or saying negative things, you have to recognize those are those people's reality, those are those people's projection and their opinion. But like Alia said, it's like when we find our purpose and we find voices and we can share them, then we can educate the community, we can change the narrative, we can show people that doing things like taking responsibility for your life, taking ownership of your own decisions as a woman is actually an important part of life. I'd rather be alone than be in an unhealthy relationship that's just going to keep perpetuating that cycle for generations to come. I would
Hmm.
rather teach my children from now that self love is more important than any other love, because that's God has specifically stated that one who knows himself is the one who knows me. So it's like we have to take that time to get to know our souls, because that's what we've been created with, whereas just views in a body, and that's not really who we are. So yeah, kind of going off a little bit, but
Okay, also, just to come to think of this, right? Do you think this idea sort of clashes with, what we so call as feminism in our community? Like, do you get the picture what I'm saying? Like, in such situations, people will turn to okay, now she's being a feminist because she thinks she can be independent on her own and like she doesn't need anybody. So do you think it applies to that category?
So I will say the way we know modern feminism to be is actually not feminism. It's a reactive way of like, you didn't give me my right, so now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to take it. And that's not what feminism is. True feminine energy is to be able to receive everything that belongs to our soul already. And it is true for both men and women. um, but people who are watching from the outside, they can label it any way they want, but that is not what's really going within the person who's going through the transition.
Mubaraka, would you like to add something as a final note? As we are coming towards the end of our program, we would like to wrap our program. Are there any final words that you would like to share with the viewers or the audience?
Yeah, I'd love to say that Alia was really on point with what you were saying about feminism. I feel like I could help you do another episode on that at a later date, inshallah. Um, as I mentioned about femininity is a completely different whole aspect, and I think as women we have a responsibility to advocate for our rights as humans, as women. But yeah, definitely it's a completely different, standing up for what they believe in, especially within the realms of what we believe Islamically as well. That's that's great. We shouldn't really question that so much as, doing things like, um, you know, like we said, modern feminism, a different world. So yeah, that's basically all I really feel I want to say about that. But I think it was really lovely speaking to both of you, and I loved hearing your about the work that you do. So I'm really interested to hearing more about that, inshallah. And yeah, it was really great to be on here. So thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Alia. Thank you so much, Mubaraka, for being on today's program. I really want to thank you both for taking out your precious time. And I hope the viewers will really enjoy today's conversation and will really take some good points of advice and of, generally like life-longing lessons. I think it's so important to hear and understand all sorts of perspectives, opinions, and thoughts, and to educate ourselves. It's really important to educate ourselves in our communities. It's very important. Once again, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning on today's program. Please make sure that you like and share today's program. And you will find the link that it will be streamed online on YouTube, on Hidayat TV's YouTube page. And if there is any feedback that you would like to share, please do let us know. And thank you so much for tuning once again on today's program. This is your host, Sakina Habib, signing off. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.